Hi, we're going to begin the town hall meeting with a prayer, of course. And so I'll ask Reverend David to come up and pray us in.
Okay, you know what to do. Take that deep breath through your heart. Just breathe in awareness of all this love, of this presence that is the expression of all the people that we were just sitting with, that are the great numbers of people that are part of this spiritual community. That presence of love and light and wisdom. Mother, Father God, we are so grateful to be able to see your presence in each, to know your wisdom, your care, your abundance, and to experience the grace that lifts us all into that beautiful time of oneness. And now, one with you, one with your goodness, we are open and receptive here and now. Amen.
I want to thank you so much for joining us today. Your care and support of our community is so deeply appreciated. We will start. I'll introduce the board. Then we would like to introduce the new vision, mission, and core value statements. We will have a treasurer's report with our treasurer, and David will talk about the More Than Enough project. If there's time, I'll do a president's report, and David will do a minister's report, and then we'll open it up for questions and answers. So first, let me introduce your board of trustees. And I'll start with the officers who are also the finance team. And I'm Lisa Nichols. I'm the president. Our vice president, Tricia Linden, was unable to be with us today. Our secretary is Sappho Kalfas. And our treasurer is James Choate. Also a member is John Rexroth. He's also our bookkeeper and a member of the finance team. And the remaining members, from my right, your left, Trey Boxer is one of our advisors. Mike McGuire. Eileen Hausfeld is another advisor. Katerina Vaticano. Scott Babcock. Bill Schramer. And Rob Seidenspinner is another one of our advisors. And of course, Reverend David. So, in introducing the new vision, mission, and core values to you, I want to give you just very quickly something that was very inspirational to us. There's a tea restaurant in San Francisco who has a very simple and profound statement of what they're about. And their entire purpose is they are passionately committed to creating human connection through tea. And so as we were going through this process of creating our vision, mission, and core values, it really inspired us to look at what are we passionately committed to, and how do we do that? In other words, what is our T? And we've been working on mission, vision, core values for several years, actually. It started with the 2020 vision process. It continued on with another team, and then earlier this year we had a community workshop. And then it finally all came together and came up with the vision, mission, core values that we're going to introduce to you today. So I hope you find it as inspiring as we do. And the board will now read the vision, mission, core values to you, and then we have handouts of it for you as well.
Hi, everybody. Hi. Good to see you all. Our vision is, we are passionately committed to the discovery of the magnificence of the spiritual self.
And the mission, in loving community, we empower spiritual growth by modeling and teaching universal spiritual principles.
Our core values. We strive to express the following values to the fullest of our abilities. Together, we work to embody these values in our relationships with ourselves, with others and with the earth, and with the divine which we call God.
Our first core value, love. We choose to live from our hearts. As we express the love that we are, we become open channels through which more love finds expression.
Authenticity. We strive to deeply understand and live our spiritual principles every day. We choose life-affirming thoughts, words, and actions. We seek to walk our talk.
Transformation. We can shift how we view everything that happens in our lives to a higher, more meaningful perspective. As we actively seek to transform, limiting patterns fall away, and we are free to create lives of fulfillment and joy.
The core value of joy. As we live our spiritual principles every day, we feel the joy and knowing that nothing and no one can take our good from us, and that nothing and no one can separate us from the divine. We give and receive joyously and gratefully, and we have fun.
Core value of peace. Peace begins within each one of us. Peace comes from our healing our wounds and fears and becoming aware of our divine connection. When we know our sacred worth, the world will know peace.
And our final core value is connection. We are one with the divine. We know that we are connected with all people and all life. We love and honor all expressions of the divine.
So those are the new vision, mission, and core value statements for Unity of Walnut Creek. They were approved by the board at last month's meeting. And I invite you, if you would please, to repeat the vision statement with me twice. As Lon, I'm kind of speaking slowly, so that so that they can get handed out. And but I'll repeat it for you as well. We are passionately committed to the discovery of the magnificence of the spiritual self. I think that speaks so clearly to what we do here at Unity, as David said in his sermon today. We do our part of bringing forward the expression of the divine and helping you in your life path. So if you would, please repeat the vision with me. We are passionately committed to the discovery of the magnificence of the spiritual self. And once more, we are passionately committed to the discovery of the magnificence of the spiritual self. Thank you. Now, James Choate, the rest of us board, we're going to go sit down, but Treasurer James Choate will give a treasurer's report now.
Hi, so I'm James Choate. I'm the current treasurer. And anybody not get a copy of the treasurer's report? Oh. They're being passed around, but I'm going to go ahead and start. So this is a summary report that the treasurer gives the board each month, and this is the report for this month. And what I want to do is kind of go over it with you and explain it line by line, and then open up to any questions that you might have. So Look at the, the first heading is cash on hand and current assets. And this is a listing of, what we have in our checking account and what we have in our savings, essentially. And it says, balances in all checkings and savings is $24,486. So that's the disposable money that we have to run the church at this point. And then the comparable balances as of May 31st last month was $27,575. So we've gone down a little bit in the past month. And the comparable balances as of the end of last year, December 31st, was $45,000. So you can see that our cash has gone down about $20,000 since the end of last year. And then comparable balances as of a year ago today, or a year ago, June 30, was $69,000. So we've been draining down the available cash. And the rest of the money is designated funds and the endowment accounts, which we've put into the Charles Schwab investment accounts. And that's about $25,000 endowment fund, which we can't touch, and about $25,000 that covers those special designated donations that the congregation has made for specific purposes. And there's a little bit of reserve money in there that we don't want to touch. So, okay, so let me go to the next. It says income and expense. So as of June 30, we were negative $19,625 for the year. And so where we're at is that the expenses have been exceeding the income for about the past year. And this with the church, it's a little bit up and down from month to month. You're not looking at you're going to have more income than expenses each month, but over a period of time, it's draining down, and we're getting to about the point to where we just have enough money to cover the expenses each month, because it costs about $50,000 a month to run the church. And so with $24,000 in the bank, that just kind of covers the checks we have to write out until the income comes in. So the negative $19,000 is where we're at year to date. Now, a couple of months ago, we were at negative $23,000, and that's when the Finance and Budget Committee got together. We met a lot of times and went through and cut some of the expenses to balance things out, like Reverend David was saying. So because the projection a couple of months ago was that by the end of the year we'd be negative $70,000, and we didn't want to see that happen. So right now, if you look at the bottom, it says the current budget deficit to the end of the year would be minus $39,000. So there'd be, at the rate we're going, we're halfway through the year, we'd be spending another $19,000. But then that other $19,000 essentially has been, covered by the generous donations of the staff and the board to cut that gap. So we get to, then going back up to the monthly comparison, shows the total income for each month. And that's going to vary depending upon some months there's 5 Sundays, some months there's 4 Sundays, some months we have wonderful fundraisers like the crab feed that brought in $8,000. But if you look into May 2013, you can see that the changes that the Finance and Budget Committee made to reduce the expenses, we came up with $28,000 in the savings through the end of the year to kind of bring things more in line, and some one-time accounting maneuvers. So we ended up with a profit of $4,300, but there's a little asterisk on that because we can only do that one time, and just in trying to get things leveled out. And in this last month, we're negative $982. And what I just want to explain about that is, the negative $982, or the whatever the amount is, there's a portion of the money that goes into paying down the principal on the mortgage. So there's a little asterisk about that, because there's about $2,400 a month that we pay on the principal. And so our books actually show that, that's income, and it's going into our equity, but it's not money we can spend. So what we're working with is really cash flow money, because once we pay down the equity, it's gone, and it's about $30,000 a year that's going into that we don't get to use for something else. And of course, we've got the wonderful sanctuary and church that we're, that's paying for. So if you go down to the next line, we've got budget versus actual, and this shows, that what the board does is there's a budgeting process in August, September of the year, gets approved in October, and they set out a budget and what they're expecting to take in and what we're expecting to spend out, and it's broken down line by line for each department and each expense. And what this is showing is that, our net income is 84% year to date of what we put in the budget. And it's, about 20,000 less than we received in 2012 year to date. And the expenses are 90% of what we put in the budget. We always budget a little bit over on the expense side, trying to give us a little cushion. And we've actually got the expenses are about $6,000 than they were last year this time. So, even though we've held our expenses down below last year with the flow of income being much less, that's why we're in the red. And if you look down to the bottom part, already addressed the the cash flow through the end of the year. The Sunday love offerings are about 10% down of what we received last year. And the LIA contributions are $7,600 below what we received last year. And our attendance is about 5%. Our attendance in the church, we get a little increasingly growing web presence, but our attendance, actually people coming on Sunday, is about 5% down over last year, and that last year was about 5% less than it was a year before. So, it's showing we have about 207 per week this year, 219 last year, and 231 the year before. So we got a few less people coming in, and it shows at the bottom what the average, one of the things we measure is what the average per person love offering is on the Sundays. So, and you can see that that's also declined over the last couple of years. So, I just hope that the information is here just kind of explain that, we didn't suddenly just start spending a lot of money and overspend our income. We've been keeping we've kept the expenses pretty constant. It's just that the flow of money is, the intake has dropped off somewhat. So now I'm ready for any questions.
Jake, first of all, thank you for your service as treasurer. Thank you for being awesome. On the on the budget versus actual, that last column, 2012 actual, is that a year-to-date number? That's not a 12-month number.
That's all year-to-date.
All of these numbers are year-to-date, so it's all apples to
So we're
apples.
comparing
as
apples,
far
right.
as through the end of June.
Through June 30. Everything's.
Okay, thank you.
Charlie?
I just want to say thank you. This is the clearest financial report I've seen. It's presented well and it's clear. Thank you very much.
I'll say that. The first thing I noticed, so I'm asking you to correct me if I'm wrong, is that we're running approximately more or less $1,000 a month deficit according to these figures this year. And then I look down at Love and Action contributions year-to-date, which is running a little over $1,000 a month less than last year. So it's almost like I'm seeing it's the most significant drop is the Love and Action contributions, which pretty much accounts for the deficit each month. Does that make sense to you?
But that's not quite accurate. The deficit each month as of at the end of June is 19,000, so that's a little over $3,000.
Well, that's not each month.
Okay, but the
Oh.
total deficit as of the end of June for the 6 months
James,
is
speak.
19,000, so.
Oh, I see. So
that's
it's actually running 3,000 a month.
3,000 a month. We were running 4,000 a month, and we brought it down a little bit. So the Love and Action is booked down about 1,000 a month, but you can see the Sunday and weekly love offerings is down 14,000 over the 6 months, which is a little more than 2,000. So you get the 2,000 for the Sunday love offerings have dropped, and the 1,000 on the Love and Action approximately makes up the drop in revenue.
Okay, I hear you.
On the shortfall, and this has been a progressive thing, were you last year starting to reduce what we were spending each month? Is that something that's happening?
I wasn't I wasn't the treasurer last year, so, and no, I don't think we were reducing the expenses. There was, a drop over last year. The first 6 months of last year, it was, negative $7,000, which is pretty small compared to the fluctuation. We can have that in a month, and that's a pretty normal thing. And in the last 6 months of last year, was negative $14,000. And so that's when it kind of started to drop more significantly. But looking forward for the next budget, we didn't really make any big changes in the budget at that point. And then when we got to January and we had negative $8,000 for the month, and April was minus $13,000. I mean, those couple of things really got our attention. So.
Okay, James, if you could invite Reverend David up now, please.
Okay.
You're up. Keep the time going.
So we're looking at, and we shared with you, really what started was that we looked at it, we realized that, if you're looking at a financial challenge in a spiritual organization or not, it's just that we know it's a spiritual challenge. So we set about taking the steps that we've shared in terms of really making the shift within our consciousness. And then once that happens at the center, once that happens at your board and staff and ministry, then it's reasonable to invite others to come and join us in that. And so that's the part of the process that we have been in is that. And because we're aware in terms of our cuts, there's not a lot more that we can do without making major changes in what we're doing. And so our guidance was that we really had that abundance. It was time to make the change within our consciousness and invite everyone to join us within that. Now, so there's essentially two goals that we have. And the first one really is to call forth that abundance that brings us up to where we are each month meeting successfully the expenses that we have. And we really believe with the expressions of support that we hear within the community and that have come forth from the board and staff, that we can move us into that place where we now have that positive expression each month. And beyond that, our desire is that there really is that more than enough that lets us return the whole state of the church finances to a strong, stable place where, again, we have the reserves that are wise to have for an organization of our type and size, and we're able to take care of some of the things that we have had to put off and not take care of yet. Then there's a second goal that the board is really talking about, and that's the kind of how do we really acknowledge this in our community? How do we communicate it? How do we bring ourselves into seeing it and celebrating it? Because in the experience of a change of consciousness, it's very important that we anchor it within ourselves. Okay, and that anchoring is part of bringing it into our memory and owning the change that we have accomplished. And it's part of the power of the matured spiritual self, is that we don't have to keep redoing the issues within our consciousness, that we can accomplish and really anchor them into a total new reality. And how to do that and meet the different obligations that we see as part of the potential of our community that we're looking at. And as we get clear on that, we'll be sharing that with all of you. Go ahead.
Reverend David, I know that when you give the class on tithing, there is a great abundance that comes forth. Oh, when you give the class on tithing, there is always a great abundance that comes forward. And so the other, that's a suggestion. The other one is giving back to the community. And I don't know how many of you people have noticed the dead and dying pine trees that are all along the side between our property and the East Bay mud. Now, they're not going to do anything to keep them alive. And I did send out some emails this last week. Can we give water? Get the hoses out to water these trees. We have to save them. And that's giving back to nature and our community in a very simple way.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it probably is really helpful to have the mic just for everybody to hear, so thank you.
No, I don't want to shout at anybody, but I'm looking at the vision, and I'm with the Goldsmith Study Group, and I'm having a problem with the word discovery. I would rather see that the realization. We are passionately committed to the realization of the magnificence of the spiritual self.
Thank you for that. And I can tell you, there were probably how many hours spent on that change of language alone. So know that it was deeply thought about, and that there were feelings both ways, because the discovery is part of an experiential, ever unfolding process. That discovery becomes real and becomes manifest. And that was part of the thought behind that language. And the realization is a very, very similar process. And so, yes, good question. Thank you.
I had the pleasure of attending the last board meeting and listening to some of this discussion. And I just wanted to share one thing, because I really wasn't clear myself, and I don't know if everybody else was or is. When we started to build the new church, we went through that campaign of love and action, where we all committed, and then the board went to the bank to get a loan. And I kept that up, and I always wondered, well, did the new people hear that message? Because there have been new people coming since we built our beautiful church. So David says, well, why, of course, that's how we pay our mortgage. We do that. We're continuing with the love and action. So I'm just saying the love in action may be the 10% or 20% that we're doing, but I just wanted to say that in case people thought that program was over. It's what keeps our church moving. So thank you.
And anyone is welcome to step up with a regular commitment to that. It's on that little card in the envelope right in front of your chair. Thank you. Yeah. So 2 goals. One is really to get to where we are sustaining ourselves in a healthy way financially. And the other is to bring forth into a clear expression within our community the experience of more than enough, and to be able to share and celebrate that together. And again, your board is looking at that, and when we're clear on our the next step there, we'll be thrilled to share it and explore it together. And we've made the commitment that we will have all of that clear by our annual meeting in October. So we'll be able to look and say, how do we do, and how do we want to celebrate what we've accomplished together?
Well, you've seen a couple of things that the board has been spending their time on, the mission, vision, mission, and core values, and then also the finances of the church. We've also been looking to refinance. As some of you know, an angel purchased the Buena Vista property right here at the top of our parking lot a year and a half ago, with the understanding that Unity would go out and look for a loan to then refinance it. And the desire would really be to refinance the loan on this property as well as the home next door. We have not been successful at this point, and with our finances looking the way it is, we're going to continue praying and looking at that and seeing how we can get that accomplished. And Mike McGuire has been leading that effort. So all of you, if you hold that in your hearts for us, that would be very helpful. Since we all got together, there were a couple of accomplishments that are wonderful for our community. One was the new website was completed earlier this year. And that's unityofwalnutcreek.com. We also, if you see the little tiny piece of wood, what's that called? Molding. At the top of the walls here, that is where we have a hearing loop. And for people who have difficulty hearing, they can use the hearing loop to help with their hearing aids and/or with the headphones that can be used. And so we have Charlie and Jeff and Jack and John. Okay, lots of people to thank for that. We also, yes, that's a wonderful thing, so thank you. Now, last year, a team of us got together and did something very exciting. We put together policies, woo! And so the board last year approved general, financial, and tithing policies for Unity, and this year we added to it the no pressure free zone policy, and that is intended just to keep our community here about our spiritual growth and commitments and connections. But if any of you have questions on that, please see one of the board members. So now I have some invitations for you. The first invitation is to make sure that you're on Unity Connects, and one of the reasons you would want to do that is because the board minutes, which include the monthly treasurer's report, the monthly president's report, and the monthly minister's report, are all uploaded into Unity Connects. When you go to the home, when you log in to Unity Connects, that very first page, the very first group that you're going to see that you're a member of is Unity of Walnut Creek. And if you go in there and to the Files tab, you will find the minutes as well as other information such as our current bylaws. And do we have the policies up there? Probably not, but anyway, lots of other info. Oh, we do. Okay, Sappho, thank you. Lots of other additional information about Unity of Walnut Creek. The next invitation is, as Kathy said, you're more than welcome to come to our monthly board meetings. It sounds boring, but we're nice, we're fun. And we always have dinner together starting about 6:15, and then our meeting starts about 7. Most of our guests head out at the break, which is usually about 8:30, but you're more than welcome to stay with us the whole 3 hours. And then finally, I just want to, as Reverend David said, our annual meeting is in October. That's October 27th. So we will elect new board members at that time and give you another update of where we're going. And now I'd like to ask Reverend David to come back up, and he will give a quick kind of where am I at update.
So I don't really need to give a regular minister's report, since you see every Sunday what the minister's doing. But there's, I think Catherine and I have grown in our commitment to the have fun. And part of that is influencing the International Unity Conference Board of Trustees. This is the first year that I'm not on that board in what seems like infinity. And so this was a year when I was able to put in much more of our time here. Fortunately, in one of the last meetings there, I did become a part of voting to hold our international conference on a cruise in the Caribbean. So Catherine and I just got back. We had a wonderful time, and in that participation, being able to support the leaders there and in making some very healthy changes within how our international organization is financed and run. Just so that you're aware, there is a whole change of consciousness that is taking place in our world around the support of organizations that are financed through voluntary contributions. And that offers some amazing opportunities and also challenges. And so a little bit what we're doing here, there are many, many organizations, including both of the major Unity organizations, that are re-exploring how to handle that. So that takes place wonderfully. And one of the most delightful parts of the changes in our lives, you've gotten to see, for you 1130 folks, my daughter and granddaughter up here, so that I get to have that presence and blessing in our life of participating with us here. The truth is, we are so deeply blessed by this spiritual community. The support, the love, the generosity, the wisdom of you all. I meet with a lot of other ministers, and I do a lot of support for other ministers and other churches. And after every exchange, I come back and say, thank you, God, that I get to be right here. So much love and appreciation. And I think we're in some times of financial challenge, but the truth is, with all the skill and the wisdom and the spiritual power and maturity that are here, the great things are before us. We have really put in the web and Unity Connects and many other things, such a strong foundation to really be able to serve at a whole nother level. And part of that is all you guys up there playing with images and sound and the internet. Thank you all. Fabulous job. And so and you'll see, you're going to see an ongoing set of changes here in our Sunday service as we keep exploring how do we open to new levels of that spiritual energy moving in and through us. So fun change ahead. Thank you.
So we have about 5 minutes, so we'll open it up to question and answers for a few minutes, and Ted has his arm up really fast. Okay. Jack, right behind you, Jack. To Ted.
Sorry, Carol. Thank you. I've heard a lot about giving and seed faith and love offering. I think it would be really neat to have something on the website where people could share their experience of, giving and love offering and, seed faith and how that has worked for them. They can do it anonymously. I think it'd be really wonderful to hear other people's experiences with giving and tithing.
Thank
Put
you.
that forth to the board for consideration.
Thank you. Carol?
Yeah, I just want to add to what he just said. This time is great, but there's also, we're going to have to contemplate all of this, all of us. And if we had availability of inviting input from everybody from the congregation, I think a lot of people will want to make suggestions, like a suggestion box or the website, or just open it up, all avenues of inviting people to put in their input on how we can make the church prosper and where they want to see us go.
Great. I appreciate your caring that. And I hear you. And also, there are two ways that you can currently do that. One is I invited you to the board meeting. One of the very first things that we do is congregational input. It's always on our agenda. So you're invited every month to come directly to the board and say it to us face-to-face even. And then there is a comment section on the website. I think you just click Contact Us, and you can also do that. And then a third way, you can always come talk to us as well. But there's other ways, I'm sure, to open that up, and we will be looking at that. Thank you.
I have a question about that. Does Unity Connect have a discussion group, would you say, capability? Would you say?
Susan asked if there's a discussion group capability on Unity Connects. Not really. I'd have to think about how that might work. Because it's more kind of group-based, and we have the Unity of Walnut Creek group, and that would include 2,800 entries or something, and so I'm not sure how we would manage that through Unity Connects. So.
And that's taking just a moment of thought, because one of the beautiful things we have is that Vicki Berry, who was our technical support on a lot of Unity Connects, is now at Unity Village. Her intention is to become a Unity minister, and she has moved there and will be bringing her support to all of those. So we are sharing our goodness and always open for new skilled people coming forward.
Dwayne.
Well, along with the fact that David feels so comfortable with being here, I would also like to say that I feel so wonderful to have the opportunity to be in a place where David is doing his ministry, because it means a lot to me. And I would like to also thank the people who have put this circle in here, the wire, because it really means an awful lot to me, and it works very well. But the one thing I want to mention with that, the only way it works is when everybody is talking through this. So people who are outside of that are speaking doesn't get on the wire, and I don't get it.
And it also doesn't get on the website.
So when we're doing classes, that's another thing that I think it might be helpful if we do use the microphones, and if it's even possible that maybe because sound people can't be here a certain night, tell me how to do it, show me what to do. I'll be glad to join in and do what I can for myself.
Wonderful. Now we're right at 1:30, so I wanted to check in. Are there other questions or comments? And just one moment, please. Are you all comfortable staying a few more minutes, or maybe those of you who would need to go, maybe? Because we promised you to be out of here at 1:30, so we want to hold to our commitment. One second by, people are moving about.
I just have a brief statement. I got a message from God that God is smiling on Unity at Walnut Creek.
Thank you, God.
It's
important that we come down and be grounded, because that's how things work. I live out in Castro Valley. I am so,
Into the mic, into the mic.
So I was a master gardener. I am so concerned about these dying trees. And I just can't come in here from Castro Valley to water. And we have to save them. That is our commitment to this land and our stability to be here. When those trees die, things will fall apart at this church. So please, are there volunteers who can come over with hoses from our property and water those trees?
Well, I think that, I think anyone who has that same concern and care, please speak to Joan and to Charlene, who is our facilities director. Okay, Mike?
Lisa, you know, we do have a blog on the website. I don't know if everyone's aware of that. So far, we just posted notes on David's lessons on Sunday, but blogs are normally a place for discussion. And if there's anyone that wants to add a comment, they just go to the Unity website, go to the blog, and make a comment like any other blog. And maybe getting a discussion going and using it that way would serve the purpose that was brought up.
I'm not sure the blog is open for anyone to post a blog status. Can they post comments to what's posted?
Yes.
Okay. So it's not that you can start a blog, but you can comment on what's posted. Someone back here? Oh, yes.
Yeah, when is the next meeting?
The next
board meeting?
the next board. Oh, thank you. Maybe someone will come. We meet the fourth Wednesday of every month. So this month it's July 24th. And the caveat I'll give with that is the holiday months we don't meet the fourth Thursday or Wednesday. So it's usually the third Wednesday.
What time and where?
It's always in the community room, and dinner, like I said, starts about 6:15. There is a $10 love offering for the dinner, and then at 7 o'clock the meeting starts.
This is just kind of this gathering today is mostly for catching up, because it kind of says in the bulletin, questions and ideas. So probably the ideas, I brought a bunch of ideas, so it sounds like it's going to be better served coming to the board meeting.
I think that would be great.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else? Wonderful. Well, again, I thank you so much for being here, your support, your care, your generosity. It's felt every board meeting. We hold you in our hearts. You and your spiritual growth and your spiritual path, that's what we're about. And I'm not saying it right because I got a little emotional, but you are in our hearts every board meeting, and we appreciate you all so much. Thank you.